There are very controversial theories about Bluey, reality shows, family issues, and even magical beings living with the healer family. But how true are these theories? Why has no one provided proof or even debunked them? That's why, friends, in this video, we're gonna debunk some Bluey theories that might seem true, but aren't. Bluey and the Kardashians. It's believed that the healer family is much more than just an ordinary family like those we see around in the series. If we look closely, it seems like they're the only ones who experience crazy out of the ordinary things. But besides this, there's a curious aspect that only a few noticed. People think Bluey's family is something like the Kardashians. Okay, I know this might sound crazy, especially since it's a children's show, but let's see why people believe this. If you're the type to pay close attention to episodes, you might have noticed that Bluey hides many secrets, references, and Easter eggs. But several of these left us completely confused. In the episode The Quiet Game, Bandit has to take Bluey and Bingo to buy a gift for Muffin by being quiet. Everything goes well in the episode, until we get to this scene. In the display case, we can see a book clearly depicting Bluey representing the Fruit Bat episode. What? Is Bluey famous in her own world? Or why is there a book about her on this shelf? And this isn't the only time we find details like this one. In the episode Ice Cream, while Muffin is being bitten by the Velociraptor, we can see Bingo reading the book of the episode Sleepy Time. In the episode Kids, we don't find a book, but rather a toy of Bluey's house, and Bluey herself even appears in the box. It seems like a simple curiosity left by the animators, right? But when we see the healer family occasionally looking directly at the camera, it makes us think that clearly they are a type of privileged family being filmed for a reality show. But wait, before you throw your phone and break someone's head, let's debunk this theory. And why not start with the same thing about characters looking directly at the camera? I honestly think they just looked straight ahead and that's it. There's no camera or film crew with a producer. The truth is that the few times the character looked directly at us are not too many to prove this theory. It's a simple coincidence. Let's compare this to animated series like Dora the Explorer. Dora knows she's in a show teaching us how to speak Spanish, constantly asking us things and looking directly at us. And with Bluey, this almost never happens. And since we're talking about cameras, I don't think it'll be very prudent for this film crew to have hidden cameras filming the healers while they are in the bathroom. That doesn't even happen with the Kardashians. And hey, filming a couple of girls while they are in the bathroom is really awful. But since we're on the topic of privacy, there are even scenes where characters talk about very intimate things that wouldn't want others to know. For example, when Bandit talked about the vasectomy he was gonna get. If he knew he was being filmed, he certainly wouldn't be talking about this in front of millions of people who know him. And finally, to completely destroy this theory, we have to think about how they got the flashbacks if they're always filming the healer family. Did they start filming them since Bandit was little? And then continued filming their whole life until Bluey was born, grew up, and had a child? Were they secretly filming her for several years later while she was sitting in the woods? Or what about the episodes that aren't directly about Bluey, like Mackenzie's trauma or the episode Explorers with Rusty? It'll be very cruel to fake Mackenzie's trauma just to entertain us with a reality show. And as for the Sleepy Time book and the toy, they're easy to explain. The Sleepy Time book Bingo has is surely not about the episode, but it relates to Bingo's fascination with astronomy. Maybe it was thanks to this book that she could have her dream in the episode. It's like she copied the image from the book and dreamed about it. And as for the toy, I don't know. That's still a mystery, friends. Do you have any theories on why it's there? The false future of Bingo. Many theories emerge with the latest episodes of Bluey, but an interesting one is about Bingo's future profession. All these assumptions arose in the episode called Surprise. If you paid attention to the final scene of this episode, you may have noticed that in one of the photos hanging in the healer's house, Bingo appears in an archaeological site. For this reason, everyone is almost sure that Bingo will follow Bandit's profession. But let's see why this doesn't make any sense. Firstly, we know Bingo is an incredibly intelligent girl, and all the clues about her profession always pointed to her being a great astronaut or something similar, as Bingo has always been interested in space. And this wasn't shown just once. In several episodes, we could see her reading books about planets, and Sleepy Time made it very clear that Bingo loves the universe. Instead, this portrait might be from an experience she had while in college, some trip or excursion, or simply Bandit took the girls to one of the places where he worked. It has nothing to do with Bingo's true profession. It's like saying the Healer family is great friends with the Wiggles just because they have a photo of them. For this reason, this theory is 100% debunked. Stripe and Trixie's divorce. We all know Stripe and Trixie are not the perfect couple, but many have jumped on the idea that these two are about to get divorced. I know, it's a pretty crazy idea, but let's see where all this came from. It all started with comparisons made between Stripe and Trixie with Bandit and Chili. First, because it seemed like they were always arguing, and proof of this is in the episode Crazy Talk, where we see Muffin getting very rebellious, while we can see Stripe and Trixie with no so pleasant expressions in the background. Many thought they kept arguing because they couldn't stand each other anymore, and some even thought their separation was due to Muffin and Socks being spoiled. It all pointed to Trixie making this decision, as she seemed to be the only one handling the kids' education, while Stripe spent most of the day working or lounging on the couch. We all know dealing with Muffin is not so pleasant, as she's very spoiled, and it was expected that Trixie would be tired of all these behaviors and her husband's lack of support, so she decided to ask Stripe for a divorce. But now I'll tell you why this theory could not come true. The truth is, even though Muffin and Socks are very spoiled, it doesn't seem to affect Stripe and Trixie at all. They even encourage these destructive behaviors, scolding them and happily fulfilling their every wish. Just look at Muffin. She gets her pampered princess parties, they buy her ice cream and give her expensive toys. Do you really think Stripe and Trixie would be spoiling their kids if they were thinking about a divorce? This would have been evident in previous episodes, where I'm pretty sure one of them would have already seen a psychologist. But come on, Stripe looked very happy with Trixie at Radley's wedding. The fact that Trixie seems tired doesn't mean they have to get divorced. Maybe it's just like when Chili needed her 20 minutes. Even Chili acknowledges that moms need some space for themselves. So this theory is completely debunked. Radley is adopted. The theory that Grandpa Bob isn't Radley's real dad convinced many to be true. If we analyze the characters well, we'll see that Rad is the only one different in Nana and Bob's family. And being the older brother, many considered the possibility that Rad was the son of Nana's first husband, or simply adopted, and that's why he looks different from Bandit and Stripe. But this doesn't have to be complicated, friends. At least in the world of genetics, some traits can be inherited from past generations. Possibly Rat inherited his colors from a grandparent. If we look closely at Grandpa Bob, we see he has a bit of orange color, meaning his ancestors were likely to be colorful too. Children don't always have to look like their parents, and in my opinion, Radley is a clear example of this. Besides, the three siblings get along quite well, and Nana and Grandpa Bob don't treat Radley any differently. And as we've said in other theories, if this were to be true, there would already be some kind of clue hinting that Uncle Rat is adopted or has a different father. Although the theory of him being adopted seems a bit senseless to me. Why would Nana adopt a child and then have two more? But anyway, this doesn't make much sense, so this theory is debunked. Fairies exist in Bluey. I'm sure many of you have heard about the fairy theory in Bluey. All this fuss happened because of a couple of strange things that happened in 2 Bluey episodes, Fairies and Feather Wand. In the Fairies episode, we saw how these supposed magical creatures petrified Bingo until Bandit apologized to her. But many fans said this wasn't just a simple game, and that fairies actually exist in the Bluey world. And they didn't say this for no reason. At the end of the episode, we saw a fairy appear, even though the game was supposed to be over. So everyone was left with that doubt, leading to the theory that magic and fairies do exist in Bluey's world. This was confirmed again in the Feather Wand episode. In this episode, Bingo finds a feather and starts using it like a magic wand, causing lots of trouble for Bluey and Bandit to stop them from leaving. But as we all know, in the girls' games everyone gets involved, even the neighbors. And like in the fairies episode, many people, including adults, said this wasn't just a children's game. Something else was happening in Bluey's world. But well, friends, even though this theory seems quite intriguing, the truth is, it's not true at all. All the children in Bluey have very vivid imaginations to create their games, and we have plenty of examples of this, like when they played Circus, Spaceship, or even Selling the House in the Sign episode. They are very good at acting, and they do this not only for fun, but also to connect with the audience. For all we know, Bandit and Chili have a very different method for raising their daughters. And of course, this includes getting involved in the girls' invented games. And the kids take these games seriously. And this doesn't just happen in the show. Any child you meet who wants to play with you will take their role very seriously. Also, another answer to this, it's just a simple dream of Bingo. We've already seen some of the girls' dreams, and they turned out to be quite crazy, like we saw in the Fruit Bat episode or Sleepy Time. So it's all about a lot of imagination and fun. But at least in this theory, everyone decides what to believe. But think about it. If magic existed in Bluey, I'm sure someone would have already found a way to control it or even use it for evil. Or what? Are you gonna say we're gonna see Lord Voldemort in Bluey? Leave in the comments what other theories you'd like to debunk.